himself getting passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on, so Nurburgring in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. He doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani not very far apart at all here, but I just want to see how Alistair Haig deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the loud pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order, but Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down it towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed Morton forward up ahead. He's got out of line. It's now Pike going to have a go at Werrell. Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still start trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden Miller's back in play.
Moving on to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's a lot have fun. Yeah, and
It's all about the entertainment, so I hope
everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching the Burger King machines off into the grass a little bit there as they're really bunching up now.
Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
Oh, they're going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry.
And gentlemen, and welcome back to the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel, and of course to another round of the JPB Euro Sprint Cup. Of course, round number 8 sees us take to Italy, the Temple of Speed, more so today. Pass out the entirety of that first chicane and just have a super long run towards Curva Grande. My name is Zach Sweeney, James Parfitt alongside me in the commentary booth. A lot of fun coming up over the course of the next 2 races this evening. James, another step in the championship, and well, Monza.
Yeah, what can you say? Well, yeah, we've just watched somebody go down from Michele Alboreto Curva Parabolica. They were literally maxing out 150. That's it. Yeah, basically, get all that run down in Della Roggia. So I think at the end of the day, it's going to be very interesting. I think that main straight should the main focus of overtakes. And we've got 9 on the race circuit here as well. But I do have an announcement to make here well this evening.
You're pregnant?
Yes. Which is
wow.
No. This will be the last.
Right, so you say to me before the broadcast, Zach, why are you so miserable? And then you drop that on me.
Yeah. Last of. But on the upside, I've got something in the pipeline going to be very, very exciting. And it will have something.
The F4. Well, I'm not interested.
What you are.
All right, you sound sure. Regardless of which, obviously, while we still can enjoy the touring cars that James is so just cruelly taken away from us, we will just take a quick look as to how things are racking up in the championships, of course, for the pros and the AMs. When it comes to the pros, it's as close as ever, really, with how things are racking up. Dan Mould, Adam Delmont still sharing their fantastic rivalry at the top. You can see not really much separating them at all. 233 to 231, respectively, between the two. Adam McNally, John Brown still in their respective fight for the top 3, as Kimandra Bjorklund still very firm in his top 5. Nick Kirsten's though, not a million miles away. Carl Jacklett still with his run of form, a few wins so far this season in 7th. Fraser Garrity, Stephen Van Kampen and Paddy Faulkner still the top 10, with Debbie Deju just outside. And then in the AMs, and things are getting a little bit lively with things. Of course, Dan Paples, who usually was sort of dominating it in the early part of the season, is now down in 4th place when it comes to the AM Championship standings. Stuart Gibbons is the one that's actually been able to take the helm at the top at 190 points. Only 4 ahead of Kev Ayler, and he himself only 4 ahead of Cooper Akers, who's had a really consistent form recently. Then we get to Dan Paples on 177. Only 13 points covering the top 4 in the AM Championship. Should be a very, very fun one indeed. Scott Malcolm, the very lovely Scotsman, rounds off the top 5 ahead of Billy Mole, Dick Crowther and Chris Barnes. Chris Van der Linde and Paolo Brem round off the top 10 ahead of Gary McFarlane, of course, there in P11. So, both championships with only a few rounds to go, James, up for grabs.
Yeah, they definitely are. And I think it's exciting how this one pans out, I think. Well, because as I say, Peoples was looking quick throughout this. But of course, then he missed, I think, last week.
I mean, I wouldn't knock it. I mean, there's been times, just back in Zandvoort, round 4, where obviously it was his home race and he was looking forward to, obviously, and he missed out on an overall victory. He still won in the AMs, and you know, I think in the end he got 2nd overall, and he was gutted with that result. So he's obviously had a lot of potential this season. I don't necessarily think it's going to be at the question for him to climb his way back to the top, but of course he still has to be here for the final 4 rounds, including today. We've got Monza, Magny, Cours, Jerez, and the Zolder GP on the 15th of March in a couple of weeks' time. So still plenty of racing yet to come. We've still got 8 races over the course of the next 4 weeks. So, yeah, I mean, loads of opportunities still on the horizon. Plenty of chances for people to get those points, and hopefully a roller coaster along the way as well.
Yeah, it's always a roller coaster, isn't it? Here's going to be probably one of the highlightest roller coasters we're going to see, right? And what I mean by that is the fact that we've taken out first chicane. So we're going to be getting running. There's going to be overtakes. I'm hoping there's no chaos, but who knows how it pans out and where. Let's see. As well as they do go in the first flying lap of qualifying, I believe.
They do indeed. Of course, they get time allotted in qualifying. They can get as many lap times as they can squeeze in for that. And of course, here at Monza, qualifying, not necessarily incredibly important in the sense that it's going to be fairly easy to overtake as such with long straights and things, but definitely not going to hurt in order to start yourself further up, because obviously the early carnage is going to set in, and then we're probably going to expect the field to spread out a little bit. We're going to see packs start to form, and if you're not already starting at the front, it's going to be even more difficult for you to actually carve your way through throughout the duration of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as you say, when we talk about qualifying, we go into certain series, and some series are more important than others, right? We know sometimes the Clios can really be quite important when you start. But I think with that long straight, you're going to have the opportunity to overtake. And there, 20 minutes, and I've got a funny feeling we might only a second and a half, maybe, across the field. So I don't think it's going to cause problems if you're a little bit down on where you would be for qualifying. I think at the end of the day, like NASCAR, right? We do qualifying, but it doesn't really matter, because as we've seen before, the guy in 35th can go out and take the win. So I think here is probably one of them tracks that's not going to be overly important. You've got to make sure that if they're passing, they're doing it. They're making sure that they can places as it goes. Don't think too bad about it.
Yeah, obviously, with how easy it is to overtake, you can definitely argue that side of things. Of course, getting the lap time in qualifying is going to be tricky in of itself. Less corners, which means less opportunity to gain time, which obviously means that the lap times themselves are going to be closer, but also with it being sort of an open session, you've got teammates that are going to slipstream of each other, work together. Those that are sort of independent all by themselves, the ones without any friends, they're going to struggle. They're going to have to be leeching on to other people in hopes that they get a slipstream, because it is going to be a make or break of a qualifying session.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. We've got Dan Mould, and I believe that's Adam Dalmont in front of him. Behind that, we've got Fraser Garrity there as well, with JB Brown, Cooper Bakers not far in the mix as well. Now, obviously, what we've done is there were penalties given out after last week. Penalties. Now, what we have done, because they did involve race bans, and because of course this is coming to an end and carrying out next season, we have rescinded them. However, the drivers have had quite a stern talking to. If any actions get repeated, then they will miss the final few. Can't quite be in this league. But as we're not repeating these again, we have the race bans as well for certain people. So they've got the opportunity now to come in and race clean. They will be nice and smooth and stuff like that. So hopefully that's what we will see here as well. Talks about cars. I'll go into next season briefly, and I'll give you a little snippet of what we're going to do. Now, initially we did discuss the Jetta. That then got replaced by some form of open wheel. We did discuss the F4s, and we did discuss the little Formula Fords. So both the F4 and the Formula Fords have got rain ability. That's been, I believe, at the beginning. So we are looking at an open wheel setup, and it probably will be either the F4 or the Formula Fords. Now, the Formula Fords are great fun. I've driven them myself. They are absolutely amazing to race around. So it could possibly be Formula Fords that we will be looking at running next season, and there could be a very high opportunity, as I've been put in charge of it apparently, as well, as I found out a little bit earlier on, that they could be racing on rain.
You know what? Simon, I reckon I might. I'm tempted to give it a go.
What, to drive in the Formula Fords?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd think about that. I love open wheels, and it's been a long time since I've. To be fair, I've never actually competitively raced in the championship in iRacing.
Oh, come along! It'd be a
I
great
reckon
laugh.
maybe I should.
Open wheelers, or if we did F4s or Formula Fords, it would still be good as well. And there's a lot of people excited about the open wheelers because that's probably one of the only cars we don't have under JPB, like we do touring cars, we do Leos, we do Cours, we've got NASCAR running, we've got endurance series coming up. So open wheelers is the only thing we haven't really now toe in. So so it's possibly looking like Formula Ford. So if you want to get yourselves involved, you can. All links down in the description below. We will be getting all the calendars sorted up and everything else once we are knowing what the officials are, whether or not we follow the official calendars. I'm not a great lover of that because we put some silly, crazy tracks on it. I don't want to see a Formula Ford taking 4.5 minutes to get around Spa. It would bore the hell out of us.
I have a really good idea. I think you should make it the most accessible championship ever and run it purely on the free content in iRacing.
I'll have to have a look and see what that would
Because apparently
be.
They're expanding it.
They have, yeah. They've expanded it to Oschersleben, Lebanon. So there was an oval in there as well. Hold on, I will try and find the post that I did early on and just confirm what the final ones were. But there was 4. I know it was Lebanon. I know it was Oschersleben. Sure, there was an oval. Let me have a look. Yes. 4 international courses will be Circuit de Lebanon, Oschersleben, Snetterton, and Winton Motor Raceway.
Oh, I'm just glad Snetterton's on there. What a track.
Oh, we love that, especially, going around certain corners.
Oh, mate. Oh, yeah. That you smash your way into that one.
Yep, absolutely.
And when it's wet, it'll be even more fun.
You will, yes.
You go sliding in instead.
Yeah, absolutely. No friction, nothing. It would just be straight in and straight out the other side.
Lubricated.
Yes.
Beautiful.
So, of course, then you go into rain, of course, and then you're looking at British circuits, right? 9 out of 10 times that a British circuit does decide to absolutely chuck it down. That's down
British
people's...
Formula 4.
Well, I don't know. As I say, Formula Fords.
Yeah, British Formula Ford. Or do a multi-class. Do a feeder series.
No, there was talk of Formula Fords would go out first, and then the Formula 4s would go out after. 4 20-minute races, 2 for the Fords, 2 for the F4s. But that would have to involve, I think, swapping sessions. So I think we're going to, I don't know, we're in talks, let's say, about it and seeing where we're going to.
Fair dues, well, yeah, I'll keep an eye out because maybe I'll stop being stingy and tight and actually fork out for iRacing for once in a while and get on it. I mean, because I ain't got a job from Monday, so I've got loads of time to practice.
Well, exactly. Exactly.
So,
It's not ideal that you haven't got a job. I don't mean that in a detrimental way, like, you haven't got a job. I mean it as in, yes.
Well, JPB's going to support me over this.
Well, JPB does a lot of supporting of you already, Mr. Sweeney, you know what I mean? So I don't think bringing you in doing any more is going to be a problem.
No, exactly. And yeah, I can give you some very insightful fun from the track if/when the Formula Fords get themselves out on track.
I do want to pick up that I have decided I'm now called Mystic Meg. Partly due to the Feg. I said 1.5 seconds across the field. What's the gap on the fastest times?
Yeah. Well, technically it's 1.4.
Want to be pedantic that it's actually 1.459.
Yeah.
Guys, but I said 1.5 seconds. What we've got.
No, I mean, yeah, you did all right, I suppose. Just not exactly on the dot. I mean, to be fair, it is still to be nearly a 2-minute lap. Still, that is remarkable. But yeah, obviously less corners, a lot of it straight lines. So in terms of corners, less opportunity to actually, gain and lose time. Which means the gaps are going to be close. And to be fair, some of those big gaps are probably down to the fact that different people get, different amounts of slipstream rather than the corners themselves. So I expect that in the race, it's going to be even closer. I mean, we've got, what was that, one from Bjorklund down to Kirsten's, all within the same 1/10 of a second. You've then got Delmont Paples and John Brown just outside of a 1/10 of a second of each other in a very, very hard-fought fight for the front row. Dan Mould, though, with a 2.5 advantage ahead of Adam Delmont here at Monza. That is remarkably huge. Like at Spa, 2.5 gap is nothing. Here at Monza, that is a huge advantage.
It is, and say even without that chicane, we're still on 151. We've still got quite a long lap. It's still, we've only got 20 minutes and probably going to do about 11 laps working off rough. Trying to sit here and do math. Well, but it's going to be exciting. Good to see Classic sit here for the. Wow,
I think so. I don't at all doubt it. I mean, touring cars here at Monza are never not fun, and they always, provide top-tier racing. Of course, everyone in the pit lane, because the session effectively is over. Yes, there's 50 seconds left, but iRacing does not let you complete your lap. So Kev Aylett is out there to, I don't know, really just maybe get the last couple of corners in, refine his craft as such. But Dan Paples, 3rd place overall. What was that you said about not having a chance in the championship?
I didn't say he wouldn't have a chance. I just said it's going to be very difficult up there. That isn't the fair play. He's just got to go out and do it. But got Cooper Akers and Scott Malcolm not far off him with Kev Aylett there as well. So he's only got to lose out on the draft a little bit, and then he's going to be in trouble, right? So let's see how it pans out. They've got, as you say, pretty much most people are into the pits now before we get up and. Well, as I say, I think this could be a classic. I wouldn't be surprised by it because guys are.
Don't doubt it. As I say, there is Dan Mould ahead of Adam Delmont. The two championship leaders shared the front row here in Monza. Dan Paples alongside John Brown on row 2. Then comes Adam McNally and Cooper Akers with a sensational qualifying there in 6th. Scott Malcolm just behind, joining the Norwegian of Bjorklund on row 4. And Jacklett and Geraghty round off the top 10. Kev Aylett down in P11, though not a bad shout for him at all. He's alongside Nick Kirstens for row 6. Stephen Van Campden and Stuart Gibbons keep each other company 13th and 14th. Ahead of Dick Crowther, Paolo Brem, Billy Mole, Chris Barnes down to 18th. And then that is it for the 18 car field that we've got. We're moments away from getting ourselves to lights out. 20 minutes, of course, on the clock. A lot of fun between now and the checkered flag, I'm sure.
One for you there, Zach.
Here we go. Of course, the 5 lights will come on. They'll go out and we'll be underway for that run towards Curva Grande. Of course, we miss out the first chicane, but round number 8 of the Touring Car European Cup is underway. Dan Mould, Adam Delmont share the front row and they get away fairly evenly from P1 and P2. Dan Paples just settling in, but now the slipstream begins towards Curva Grande. The first braking zone is when we get to the second chicane, or what usually is the second chicane at the Roger. A couple of people running too wide just in the background as they cut their way across the Retifilio. There's Adam McNally trying to eye up the move to the inside of Curva Grande. No way through for now. A couple of changes though. Bjorklund down to 9th. There is very wide though. Carl Jacklett off the road down to last.
Yeah, unfortunately for Carl Jacklett, he got it all a little bit wrong there as well. Hey, Scott Malcolm.
Well held. Wow.
Cooper Akers was hard on the brakes there as well. Why have you... Oh... Over. This is a thing, so I'm a bit confused how they ended up there. Akers.
Maybe this.
Akers just taps him, I think. But then he's still got control. Oh no, he's gone round, and then I've got a funny feeling.
Doink.
Doink. The problem is they would have made contact anyway because people took a very shallow line coming out of the Roger there as well. So they might have been contact anyway because there wasn't a lot of room left there, was there really? And I think that could be a little bit of a problem. McNally, Bjorkland, Garrity, Gibbons and Mole are all into the pits there as well. Garrity, J. Bjorkland did this, unfortunately. Oh, well, they did that.
Yeah, very chaotic start then at the initial phase, and well, that just went from bad to worse to dreadful as he rejoins the circuit into the side of pretty much everyone. A couple of DNFs already. I think McNally, Bjorkland, Jacklet, Gerrity, Gibbons and Mole are already all into the pit lane as Dan Mold leads ahead of Adam Delmont. Those two able to break away though from the rest of the pack in the early carnage, and I suppose that's why qualifying was so important as such, is because the top two, because they're the top two, have been able to stay so clear of all the drama.
Yeah, they definitely have, and Delmont and Mould running alongside each other at the moment here, so that's great to see from them. See, they are the closest battles. Then we've got Kirstens with Van Ailey, Akers, Barnes all alongside there, with Barnes making a move currently at the moment. He's gone in past Cooper Akers. Kev Ayllett's got it a little bit wrong there. Now they're going to try and come down on the way into the Lesmo one. Akers surely not. Oh, he's not quite going to try and send it out the inside. There's, yeah, getting very spicy further here.
Very much is. That's a very wonky front end of that Audi RS3, I've got to say, and a true testament to just how chaotic the early phase of this race has been, and we still have 16 minutes of it left to go. So buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. There's going to be a wild ride between now and the checker flag, and then, of course, for race 2. But a three-way fight here. Aylett now, because of his ability really to just stay clear of all the drama, takes the lead in the AMs, and that's going to be super helpful for his run in that AM Championship. Of course, he's looking very, very strong fighting with Stuart Gibbons. I think Barnes is up there. Cooper Akers definitely is. So this is effectively a direct fight in the latter part of the championship to really, you know, get down to the nitty-gritty and fight for those all-important points that Kev Aylett, Chris Barnes and Cooper Akers are all going to be wanting a piece of.
Aylett is only 4 points back from Gibbons. At the moment, of course, we know Stu Gibbons got caught up in. So did Bjorkland, so did Alley's, Billy Mole, so did Carl Jacklet there as well. And Fraser Garrity, of course, is there. So that's going to be very, very interesting now as we see Van Kampen and Kirsten going side by side. These guys, well, would be one because this one.
Yeah, keep an eye out. Of course, the pair of them, both from the Netherlands, both representing Sim Race Sweden. Of course, the new outfit taking from, of course, I think separate to Platinum and SOB and their own side thing, of course, with Dan Paples there as well, fielding in the AMs. But yeah, very successful debut season, it must be said. Both of them running for 4th place, and at Kirsten's, I think, able to get ahead. There's Barnes with a slowdown, and at Monza, this is the last track you want to be getting slowdowns at.
Yeah, definitely, and the problem is it's so easy done. It's so easily done here. You can run a little bit wide through Lesmo 1, get a slowdown. You run a little bit wide through Lesmo 2, you can get a slowdown. So it's going to be very difficult. They've got to maintain them track position here as well, and that's something that you have to contend with. As Cooper Akers now is battling away with Kev Aylett. Mould is now still ahead of Delmont there. Further back, you see Barnes at the back end of Cooper Akers. One of the few that are in the Elantra. So for Cooper Akers, he's one of the few that has taken the Elantra. We've even got Adam McNally and Billy Mole. Look at this, side by side here. Going down the straightaway into the Curva Grande before they go hard on the brakes. It's going to be almost like a straight drag race, Sweeney. See who comes out on top.
Yeah, basically, and then by the time they get to Curva Grande, it's going to be really difficult to go all the way around the outside. Billy Mole at least gives it a good go, gets the motor to the outside of the circuit though, and as always bound to happen, there's just no grip out there. McNally with a small twitch, loaded up the front tyres and was always just going to understeer. Another fight here, Cooper Akers trying to battle his way with Chris Barnes. Of course, Barnes now pulls up to the right-hand side and once again a drag race. Surprised that the 48 machine isn't actually benefiting more from the slipstream. I think Akers, thinking long-term, didn't really want to fight that one too hard as to really stay in the battle with Aylett.
Yeah, you need to... age-old saying, isn't it? To finish first, you've got to finish. And But Akers, he's just looking at making an opportunity. See Barnes and Ailett there. Barnes on the inside. Akers is trying to go up the inside as well. He's going to try the outside on the exit. Doesn't get it this time around. Further back, Paolo Brems running along with Dek Qualver. So this is turning into a nice little tidy 5-way fight at the moment.
Yeah, the guys all keeping themselves nice and close together again, as we'd expect from the touring cars, especially with the slipstream, especially here at Monza, definitely keeping it interesting. But the thing is, everyone is so focused on staying in the slipstream, and everyone's benefiting from the slipstream, that in fact it is actually surprisingly hard to get these moves done sometimes.
Yeah, that's the thing. You end up with what that kind of DRS train does produce in Formula One. You get a bit of a draft train. And that's what you're getting at the moment from these cars. They're all so close together. You're naturally getting that giraffe train effect. You know, it will settle down, but it's going to take somebody brave to break the train and really kind of go and try and send it up the inside somewhere to get that position, because otherwise they are going to struggle. It's going to be interesting to see what pans out here as Van Kampen is there with Nick Kirsten, in front of him.
Yeah, they're still fighting for fourth and again suspended in a bit of a no man's land as such. They got 3 seconds up, 5.5 seconds back, and yeah, everyone keeping it. Of course, yeah, just to themselves in their own battles as we'd expect. Change to the lead. Dalmont gets past Mould momentarily. I think they might well still be side by side. There they are. Dan Mould on the left. That's the inside for the Roger. Definitely the more favourable line, but Adam Dalmont through. Takes the lead of the race.
Dalmont doing a solid job there as well. He knows he needs to. That's the thing, doesn't to be able to take that position and try and get some points in. So I think from his perspective, he's got to do what he's got to do. But the problem is Mould's not going to give up very easily.
No, he's not. He's always been a fighter. He's determined as ever. And of course, in direct fight for the championship, will not be liking the fact that his rival is right ahead of him. Of course, there are 3 points separating them coming into today. In fact, actually only 2 points separating them. So this fight here is the decider for the championship lead at the moment. Dan Mould immediately on the counter-attack going into Ascari. Adam Dalmont going to give it a go to the long way round. That is definitely bold and brave. Great respect given between the pair of them. By the time they reach the third apex, it's Adam Dalmont that's still ahead, but Dan Mould going to be hammering on the pressure going into Parabolica.
There he is. Trying his utmost here as well. They've got to look out for the little grass strip on the left-hand side, like an AstroTurf strip. You can see it just in front of you. Now they're going to start getting onto the brakes and applying the brakes. Mould tries the inside. Dalmont leaves the door open a little bit, not by much, mind you. And these guys are currently going to be on a side-by-side run. Go down into the Curva della Roggia.
Let's see. Of course, it's effectively still just not far off flat out, even in these cars, even at this speed. So the inside line probably the more favourable one. There you can see Dan Mould on the right, trying to give him as big of a squeeze as possible as they completely disregard the Rettifilo, go straight across in towards Curva Grande, and you really only just take a lift or so, just a bit of a safety lift just to pitch the nose in. But around the outside, Adam Dalmont, what a move if he's able to keep that he has. He's been able to keep it on track. That takes a lot of bravery.
Yeah, big brave boy there from Dalmont. He's got some cojones there as well. And it's just keep a hold of it. Kirsten and Van Kampen still going at it here. Not too far apart at the moment. The Van Kampen front in that 35 machine, while Kirsten's behind in Chris Barnes, Kev Ailett. They're still in that draft train effect, Zach, that we said, didn't we? They're still in it, and they're still not being able to.
No, and I fear they're not going to be able to clear it as such unless there's a mistake or battles or anything like that. You're pretty much just locked together, because even if you lose a tenth going into a corner, you can build it back up and plus more with the slipstream going down the following straight, provided the car behind doesn't then go for a move themselves. So you have got to be so careful, and I suppose that's great for Chris Barnes, because he's not really under much pressure, even though he's got 4 cars lined up behind him. He's chilling at the front of this train.
Yeah, he is, and I think that's the thing. He's sit there and relax. And, well, hopefully Barnes up sweating, which is a done thing, and I've seen poor old Barnesy absolutely melt a pot or something. So let's hope that he can just hold on to it and make it through here. But he should be all right. Cavalier slowly dropping him off. We've got Dalmont and Dalmont running side by side again over the line once more here, Zach, with 8 minutes left on the clock. it's going to be interesting to see how these guys do.
Yeah, we'll be into the final stage of this race. Absolutely. Dan Mold, Adam Dalmont, round number... Well, I'm losing count, really, as to how many times these guys are battling. John Brown as well, meanwhile, only 2.5 seconds back. Could he be an advocate for the race lead in a few laps' time? Side by side once again, Adam Dalmont keeps his foot in once more to the outside of Curva Grande. Dan Mold, I don't know, how does he counter that? How does he not let Dalmont do that? Is it a choice that he's, lifting off and giving some space into Curva Grande, or does he just need to be a bit more aggressive?
In an ideal world, coming round Curva Grande, what he might be able to do, and if he's brave enough to do it, is just open up that steering a little bit. Just open it up a little bit and give Dalmont something to think about on the outside. If he opens it up, there's a chance, obviously, they could be running side by side. The side drives could come into effect. And hopefully, Dalmont might think twice about doing what he's been doing throughout this whole race, as Akers and Crowther are battling it out here. And Crowther does come out 6 on that one. Stuart Gibbons is tucked in, believe it or not. That's Fraser Garrity behind him with Carl Jacklett in the mix here as well. Jacklett a little bit further there. So actually, that's not Jacklett. That is actually Kim Andre Bjorkland. They've got same liveries. A little bit confused. That's Kim Andre Bjorkland with Fraser Garrity and Gibbo. Then we've got Van Kampen and also Kirstens. They're not really making questions over each other. And then we've got Mold and Dalmont, who just like going side by side.
Yeah, these guys like giving us a show. Once again, side by side, this time through Parabolica. The outside line actually can be favourable, especially as you tuck back in, get the slipstream and the better exit. Adam Dalmont, once again, going to be looking to launch a counter-attack on Dan Mold, who now leads once again into what probably going to be the final 4 laps of this race. Dan Mold once again on the right hand side. Here comes Dalmont slingshotting his way to the left, and this has always worked for him for the last 3 laps that he's been in this position. What difference does this one make as they once again run their way towards Curva Grande? Dan Mold on the inside this time, going to fight a little bit harder, but still Dalmont able to carry that momentum and that speed the long way round.
Yeah, that Honda just seems well planted going through Curva Grande, and that's the thing. The Honda just seems like it's cemented on the floor. It looks like Peoples, Brem, Jacklett, Kirstens. Oh no, did they? Oh, they did!
Ooh.
Oh no! That's Kirstens and Van Kampen have now just terminated each other.
Yeah, and both of them now firmly out of the... Well, no, in fact,
Kirsten's
actually,
still going.
Yeah, Kirsten's fine. Van Kampen
I'm going to
down
presume
in...
he's fine. He is losing a lot of speed quite rapidly.
Yeah, maybe some damage.
Yeah, Barnes, on him. Maybe he has got a little bit of damage, yeah, but from Van Kampen, not a great deal there, as he's all the way down here now, battling with Paolo Brem, who's of course got a shiny new Honda, and Van Kampen looks like he's got a Honda that's not sitting most comfortably. Let's have a look as he comes out here as well. Does he manage to hold on to it? He does, but what's his steering? Well, broken.
Yeah.
Teammate having it coming together, and that was the result. So JB John Brown's just been poodling around. He might as well be on a Sunday shop down at Morrison's. Got about 2 seconds in front, and he's got 9.6 times at the moment. Good old JB John Brown there. Off he goes with his little Morrison's shopping bag and doing a bit of shopping in the...
Yeah, well, yeah, side by side here once again. Dalmont versus Mold. I think this time actually Dalmont decided to take a fancy at the inside. Yeah. Look at him, he's trying something different. He's rubbing it in. Here comes Dan Mold though, actually realising maybe the outside is the way to go. Inside for the Roger, but not late enough on the brakes.
No, Mold just looks like he's able to run a lot more speed through the Curva Grande. Now, whether or not that's setup-wise, however, he has just got to slow down because Dan Mold has just got in front of him. So Dan Mold there taking a little away from Adam Dalmont. Crowther and Aylett still battling it out here, of course. This is one of the fights in the AM Championship. Crowther's a long way back, mind you, about 68 points back. But with 4 races still to go, 2 races here tonight, and then they've got another 4 after, I believe, that they're still able to carry on, and he's still with him with a chance.
Indeed so, and of course we've got
But 8 races
Yeah.
left. Sorry, 8 races. Got
7.
Magny, Cours, ref, and 7.
Yeah, well, 7 and a bit. Obviously, the rest of this one as well. All spacing out a little bit, though, towards the tail end. What we got? 2 at the line. So, of course, with it being such a slipstream-oriented circuit, everyone's really got to start positioning themselves because, again, with how easy it is to just slingshot your way in towards turn number 1, you've got to make sure that you're the driver behind going on to the last lap.
Gibbons and Garrity having a right little ding-dong further down. This is great. This is down in 15th and 16th, these going at each other. And then further back from that, we've got Jacqueline and McNally still side by side as well as they're on their way around the curve. They're not careful. They might be lap-toed. So let's hope that they don't do something. So I think they are already a lap down. 8 points. No, they're not yet. The leaders are just coming round behind them of Mould and Delmont. So, yeah, some great action still. And I think we've still got a little bit of a pressure cooker almost going to go here. But where is it going to go? Don't really know.
Yeah, we'll find out. It's all in due time. I mean, Chris Barnes has closed up quite nicely and, in fact, has completely dropped the rest of that pack. Kev Aylett now under pressure from Crowther. He's going to be hoping just to solidify that second place in the AMS. And Kirsten's just trying to, well, I mean, it doesn't really make much of a difference if Barnes gets past him. And in fact, it's probably actually more beneficial for him if he's able to, because then he's able to slipstream off him and sort of alleviate some of the pressure himself. Then again, it's Van Kampen who's next in the pros to sort of demote him of any point. So not really any big dramas for Kirsten's at this stage.
Oh, of course, he might have a little bit of opinion to do to his teammate. That could be a conversation. How they've managed together and decided to terminate, which is never a good idea from teammate in general. Try and find where that one's between 2 there as well. This is where it all kind of kicked off. Going around the side that's coming into the Grande. Kind of turns almost and
Yeah, easily done. Again, with such a high-speed circuit, high demands and things like that, everything just can very quickly go from 100 to 0 and the space of essentially a blink of an eye. Are we on to the last lap? Well, I think we are. 54 seconds on the clock.
Yeah.
It will be at the last time by. So these guys got to make sure they're making those moves when they count. There is Scott Malcolm. He's all by himself in P11, bless him. And of course, 6th place in class. 2 tenths, of course, between Mould and Delmont. This, well, hate to say it, Delmont's in control when it comes to the last laps against Delmont.
there he is, and they've only got 34 seconds on the clock. They're coming into Lesmo 1 and 2, or they go on the run up, of course, into what will be the gate in the mid, Violin in the before they go up through the Curva Parabolica or the Cabaret. Right name. So yeah, he's not got long to try and make that moves, and I think Mould might get this.
I think he might, unless there's going to be an almighty send from Delmont. I don't really see him being able to get the place. It's going to take a great run off the exit of Ascari, which he hasn't got. Dan Mould, he's got 1 corner left to go to take yet another victory this season and, of course, extend that lead in the championship. Nick Kirsten's tumbling down a couple of the AMs, albeit still 4th place in the pros, but 1 corner left. Dan Mould, Adam Delmont, they've been down each other's throats pretty much all race long, but race 1, I think, is going to go the way of the pole sitter. He got to keep it clean, of course, on the exit of the Parabolica, make sure he doesn't get a slowdown. But the run to the line, the checker flag is waved here in Monza for the first time. Round of break, race 1 is going to go the way to the extended championship leader of Dan Mould, closely followed by Adam Delmont taking the fastest lap on the final one there as well. John Brown rounding off the podium, getting some important points, really, on rival Adam McNally. Here is, of course, Chris Barnes, the AM winner of this race. Flash the headlights, he's elated.
Yeah, he is, and he's been having a little bit of training as Mr. Barnesy. I believe him and JB John Brown have been hooking up, and John's been giving him some pointers here as well. But this is down with Gibbons and Garrity. They're running side by side. Esmo 2 say on the run up in Gary before
Yeah, and Well, Garrity versus Gibbons. You can see obviously Gibbons on the right-hand side into Ascari. This is the fight for 14th overall. Looking very, very nice indeed into Ascari. Gibbons going to try and go the long way round. I don't think he's going to be able to do it. Oh, in fact, actually, I'm just going to be shut up by Gibbons there because he's just completely mugged off Garrity to the outside of Ascari. Then the run towards Parabolica. These two fighting it all the way to the death. Even though they're fighting for 14th and 15th, they are giving it a good go and always fighting for positions and for points. Now the outsides this time goes the way of Fraser Garrity, who's going to have to go the long way around here at Parabolica. Takes the racing line effectively, takes 14th place as well.
Garrity, though, unfortunately, Gibbons is going to try and get him on the run down to the line. Is he going to be able to hold on here? Gibbo, is he going to be able to get it? Garrity's there. They're literally Gibbons and Garrity across the line. It is Garrity. Does get it there as well. What about Jacqueline and McNally? They're still coming behind them there as well. Jacqueline does hold on to that one. Yeah, great racing from all of them for Heat 1, and we've still got one more.
We do. 20 more minutes to go back on the clock. And there are the race results. Dan Mould extending the gap in the championship ahead of Adam Delmont, who just missed out half a second. John Brown rounding off the podium, and then we get ourselves to the AMS. Chris Barnes, Deck Craver, Kev Aylett, 4, 5, 6 overall, 1, 2, 3 in the AMS. Cooper Akers just outside there in 7th place and 4th place overall in the AMS. Paolo Brem, Scott Malcolm, Nick Kirstens, the top 10. Stephen Van Kampen in P11. Kimanjo Bjorklund with meh race for him, I'm sure. They're in 6th place in the pros. Dan Paples just in behind, not really getting the points. He'd won in the championship despite a sensational qualifying. Fraser Garrity, Stuart Gibbons round off the top 15 ahead of Jacqueline, McNally and Mole, who round off the finishing order for race number 1. Moments away then from race 2, and well, let's see what we got in store. Probably more of the same.
Yeah, a brief 5-minute warm-up the guys have got. I'm sure they will be there having a discussion. I'm sure Kirstens might also be involved having a little bit of chat more. Really coming to again, first rule of racing, don't take out your team. Well, they did it quite well.
Yeah, and if there is one thing that you don't want to do well, it's probably that. So maybe invest in a new skill, I suppose, as to not, smash into your teammate. But, things happen. It's a tough race. It's the back end of the championship, and some people are looking, of course, more aggressive than others. And it only takes a small mistake for things to go completely upside down.
Yeah, and not going to be hard, is it, when you're running so close like you are now, and obviously, you're in that battle on a very long straightaway that goes literally, it's got to be 1.5 miles, if not, isn't it? Down into the Della Roggia before they go and have to hit the brakes hard. So, yeah, interested to see how race 1 turned out, but I'll be interested to see the reverse grid, how it turns out as well.
I think so. It's going to be a very interesting one. It is top 15. Yeah, okay. No, I'm just... The Clios, it's top 10 and top 15, and then obviously the touring cars is just top 15, and I'm stupid. So it's fine. But yeah, top 15, as it always is. I knew that. I was testing you, James. Making sure you knew your own championship, because why wouldn't you? Yeah, should be fun. Of course, it means that it is going to be Garrity who starts from pole position. Of course, we'll bring up the full grid just after the warm-up session. Well, I mean, yeah, it's a testament, because obviously we spoke in qualifying about how important track position can be as to avoid the carnage, and then Dan Mould, Adam Delmont, they're going to be right in the thick of it.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're going to be trying to come through the field, but they've got to do it in a way where it's clean. They've got to do it in a way where they're not jeopardizing their own championship here. I know they've got the long straightaway, but if they get it all wrong, it's going to be tough for them to cover, and got to make sure if they are overtaking.
Yeah, and picking their way through the carnage bit by bit more than anything, just to obviously maximize opportunities and limit risk is the way to go. Obviously, Dan Mould, Adam Delmont, 2 fantastic drivers, and arguably in the sort of the JPB community, the 2 best when it comes to reverse grid races. Not because they start from the front and they do bad in race 1 and then run away in race 2 because their pace. It's because they do well in race 1 and then absolutely obliterate the overtakes in race 2 to carve their way through, usually to a podium, a victory, or at the very least a top 5. So between the pair of them, they should be fairly okay. But with it being reverse grid, of course, we've seen many times this season Carl Jacklett take a victory in race 2 thanks to reverse grids and his skill set. So, it opens the door for a lot of different possibilities for the running order.
Yeah, it does, and always going to leave the racing open thing. That's not going to see kind of long-winded races where they're all miles apart, they're all 9 seconds apart. That long draft is going to keep them together. And say for Dalmont and Mould, they've got to pick their way through each other. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to use overall section strategies currently at the moment as well, because that would be absolutely amazing. But I think they've got to use the draft. It's got to be careful.
Yeah, and obviously with how easy it happened, everything just went to the bottom very quickly in race 1. It can very easily happen again. So obviously making sure that you're being careful, not taking any silly risks as such as the grid lines themselves up. We're about to get ourselves underway for race number 2 of 20 minutes back onto the clock. And there you can see how they are going to line up. That's from 7th down. We go to the front. It's Stuart Gibbons, Fraser Geraghty, 1 and 2. Dan Paples, once again, starting from P3. Let's see what he can do in his pursuit for maybe a victory. Kim-Andrew Bjorklund alongside him on row 2. Van Kampen and Kirstens, once again, keeping each other company. On row 3, Malcolm and Brem ahead of Akers and Aylett on row 5. Then comes Dick Craver and Chris Barnes there in 12th place. Of course, beyond that, we'll have the rest of our race 1 top finishers. There you can see John Brown, Delmont and Mole, the top 3 from race 1. Then Jacklett, McNally and Billy Mole. We're about to get ourselves underway. The 5 red lights will come on one more time here in Monza. We'll get ourselves going, and there you can see Stuart Gibbons, Fraser Geraghty from the front row. Not the best of starts, in fact, actually from 2nd place. That means Dan Paples is going to have a bit of a look going to the left as they run their way too wide, multiple rows deep in towards Curva Grande for the first time, but Gibbons able to hold a fairly stable lead going in. Paples this time has to go to the outside of Geraghty, and of course we see in race 1 that can actually be a very favourable line. Many people trying it, as you can see. Kim-Andrew Bjorklund sat idle, but so far so clean. They run their way towards the Roger.
Yeah, they're not through there yet. That's the worry, isn't it? They're not through the De La Roger chicane there. At the moment, everybody seems to make it through. Jacklett's there with Mould and JB, with Crowther, McNally and Mole are further back. Actually, I don't think Mole is there, but Dalmont's moved up 2 positions currently in this second and final race of the evening. So a great job from Adam Dalmont. Mole, unfortunately, the immovable object is right in front of him, being Carl Jacklett.
Yeah, I would not want to try and get past Carl Jacklett if my life depended on it. So good luck for Dan Mould, and that is, of course, a huge help for Adam Dalmont to, of course, try and fight his way forward as best he can, and that is a huge stepping stone that he can use. Here's Fraser Geraghty getting caught out through Ascari very wide from Stuart Gibbons off the exit as well. So he pretty much just invents his own track.
Stuart Gibbons taking a wide line there that was so wide, he was almost in the next postcode. He was that wide after that corner. Kim-Andrew Bjorklund on the defence. Garrett's running side by side. Bjorklund all day there for Fraser Geraghty. Did he manage to hold on? He did. Peoples managed to hold on as well. Got to be careful on the rejoin coming back on. Garrett's running around the outside line to allow people to come back through. But again, a simple mistake from people was always going to lead to that problem. And that's the thing. When you're trying to do something like that, always going to lead to that issue that they've just had. So I'll try and find where roughly it kicked off here as well. Let's see. Pick up on Fraser Geraghty. Oh, they're a long way back at the moment. But I think that was always going to be a problem for them when they're battling so closely as they did then.
Exactly. And there you can see, actually, we've still got more battling going on. We've got Paples, Ayler, Akers, Brem all swapping for positions. And there we go. There's more. There's more. Who was that going around? I believe.
Kev Aylett.
Kev Aylett. Oh, no.
That was Aylett. And he was going round all on his own there. Oh, you sent it 3 wide. I'm really not surprised. And Aylett, unfortunately, doing that. Ah! Oh, he misses.
Oh, ouch.
But the best thing is, he missed Scott Malcolm twice. Not once, twice. So, yeah, well done to Kev Aylett, but he didn't know much about it going backwards, did he? Let's be real.
No, there's not really much that you can do at that point. 2 wides, 2 deep, by the way. We've got Delmont versus Akers. Delmont obviously up to 7th. Dan Mould actually clearing Carl Jacklett fairly swiftly and up into 9th place overall. Delmont around the outside and well, picks his way through. 2.2 up to the next car, though. That's going to be a tough gap to close. But he's got to start now. There's Dan Mould as well, not wanting to let Delmont get away by any stretch of the imagination. Of course, more points on offer for race 2, so you want to make sure that you're actually getting yourself up more in this race, which is probably why Dan Mould is more motivated to get moves done.
Yeah, Gibbo's up the front at the moment, 0.8 up the road, and then he's got 1.1 Kirstens and Van Kampen. Now, obviously, Kirstens and Van Kampen, we saw how that worked out in race 1, and it all went a little bit Pete on for the teammates, as they did end up making contact with each other. Let's hope it doesn't happen again here. But you can see the gap from Delmont to Gibbo's nearly just teetering on the edge of 6 seconds. It could be quite a hard recovery over 15 minutes for them to try and make up, and places in front, of course. Not just a straight run to Gibbo. You've got Peoples, Malcolm, Van Kampen, Kirstens and Bjortland. And Bjortland's not the most easy person to overtake either.
I don't think so. He can be bulletproof when he wants to be. And yeah, has always been a phenomenal driver. Really sort of tame in this championship, though. Sort of like his position in the championship, just in limbo. You know, making the most of opportunities when they come. Not really doing too much outside of that. Not being overly aggressive, and you know, not necessarily being overly timid either. Just again, a median between the pair of them. Right now, maybe an opportunity for the win on the cards in order to solidify a place inside the top 5 in the championship, maybe make some inroads towards the top 3 towards the back end of this championship. There you can see the Norwegian. He's got Nick Kirstens behind. Stuart Gibbons still doing a sensational job leading the way.
Yeah, he is at the moment, is old Gibbo, and he's doing a great job at the front, but he's going to have a very fast closing Audi from Norway right behind him in Auckland. And he's got the Dutchman at Kirstens and Kampen, who are a little bit further apart, so for them it shouldn't be a problem that they may end up making contact. Mould and Delmont are running in close proximity to each other once more. JB John Brown has actually got Paolo Brem this time, so John's actually got somebody to fight in race 2, where he was kind of all by myself in race 1, wasn't
he? Yeah, he was, and obviously race 2 gets you back into the thick of things, and you know, you don't ever want to really be by yourself unless you're winning. It's really the only time you might want to just, you know, have some lonely time out in front. There's Chris Barnes, Carl Jacklett, that's for 13th place. Carl Jacklett, not had a good day.
No, fortunately for him, it's just one of them bad moments for Jacklett. Gibbo's gone off. Oh no. Oh no. No. Got a shot of Van Kampen there, and Gibbo getting a big old snap, and unfortunately that is what's happened. Kirsten there. That exact, because come across him, didn't he? What was the problem?
Well, yeah, I mean, why would you just spontaneously think, oh yeah, I'll just turn left? I don't know. I don't really know how to. Yeah, I don't obviously want to annoy anyone to an extent, but definitely didn't look to be the fault of the car that, you know, very clearly got turned left into. So that's a shame for Gibbons, who's now effectively out of this race and out of a chance of winning, both for the AMs and of course for the overalls. Will ride on board and just see, yeah, just drifts over to the left.
I just wanted to see if I can catch Kirsten's inputs. Fortunately, drifts over and not clear. That's the problem. Wasn't clear at that moment of drifting. So unfortunately, that's going to be a problem. I think Delmont and Mould here are not going to do any different. Or they're not. No, hold on. They're not making themselves job any easier by fighting like they are at the moment. Problem.
Yeah, they need to buckle down just for a little bit, obviously settle for a bit, and then fight their way forward. I mean, Dan Mould not really getting the memo, goes for the up and under on Delmont, and it's just enticing a battle. All it's going to do is give themselves a ceiling for this race. If they work together, put their differences aside, and go for the front, there's an opportunity they can get some big points here. But also, I suppose, for Dan Mould, with this being the biggest scoring race, it's kind of more beneficial for him and Delmont to finish lower down, because if obviously Mold gained points in race 1, and the lower down him and Mold finish, he's still got a chance of finishing ahead of Delmont and, you know, gaining points on him. But it also means that if Delmont finishes ahead of him, it means that Delmont is going to gain less points. Does that sort of make sense? So, in fact, for Mold, it's not necessarily a bad thing if they finish 6th and 7th overall.
Yeah, that's they it's tied for in at 321 and 17. Where are they at the moment? They're 6th and 7th, so they're on for 11 points, with 12 being issued over race 1. So I suppose, yeah, in a way, it does make a little bit for them to kind of finish where they are almost. Then that will allow, as you say, the points cap not large. JB there with Cooper Akers. Cooper doing a great job at the moment as well, as he's battling away quite nicely once again in that Elantra with JB Audi. Only dropping off the Delmont Mold battle, but he might just about touch the draft if he can.
Yeah, and that'll be the big thing. If he can just get a small whiff of it, that'll then exponentially increase the closer he gets, and that'll be better for him just to stay in touch and potentially maybe go for the move in a couple laps time, or maybe actually now we're in towards the second half of this race as soon as possible is really the only time that you can go for moves at this point. Because now we're sort of settled in. You sort of start to realise where your fights are, where your targets are, and you've got to go and get them as soon as you can. John Brown pulls out to the right-hand side of Cooper Akers, of course, Pro versus Am, so no change in terms of championship points. John Brown picking his way past, only a second now off Mold and Delmont. And, credits to John Brown, he only finished 2.5 seconds off the top 2 in race 1. He's not a million miles away the top 2 in race 2 either.
No, I think that's the thing for JB. He's got that ability, hasn't he? He's quick. That's why he's in that pro standings. He is below, obviously, the AM line as such that that 2.5K. But John Brown is a little bit too fast for the AMs, should we say? Got Malcolm and Peoples in front of him. Scott doing a great job there, settling in first place. Peoples about 2.7 back, I believe, at the moment. He's a little bit closer than that. He's about half a second back. Sorry, they've got 2.3 to Mold behind them.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the top 5 are fairly safe, aren't they? 2.3 it's a big gap. I mean, it's not a big gap, but it is. Here at Monza, it's huge, but that's virtually impossible to close under normal circumstances, and with only, about 4 or 5 laps at the line, they're not really going to have an opportunity to close it. And with him and Delmont being obviously battling as hard as they are, I'd say Paples is fairly safe for that lead in the AMs, and then of course the rest of them free to battle as they wish. Scott Malcolm though versus Van Kampen into the Parabolica.
Going for it here as well. Didn't quite make it through that time. The Kirstens of Auckland up the front. This Norway-Holland battle once more as they're going on to that straightaway. They're going to come over the line now with 8.5 minutes left. They're going to have 4 at the line, so they're going to have about 4 laps. Try and make an impression on each other. And currently at the moment, Auckland holding on here, Zach, but it depends on how long he can hold on for.
Yeah, he's going to put up as best of a battle as he can, but Kirsten sniffs the opportunity for a win and is not going to let it up at all. Outside line for Curve Brande. Tries to send the Norwegian in deep, but Bjorklund has none of it. And as easy as it is to overtake here at Monza, it's also equally easy to sort of put up a decent defence into the Roger. The 69 machine not close enough, and stay behind once more. So Bjorklund, at least for now, is able to retain the lead.
Yeah, he is, but that gap behind is coming down as well, though, Zach. Is 1.4. You can see it there. Van Kampen, Peoples, Malcolm, and then you've got Delmont behind that as well, as Van Kampen and Peoples are now going at it again here. Peoples has just cleared Van Kampen. Malcolm's going for a trip out on to the outside. That's going to be a slowdown for him as well. He's going to try and hold it as best as he can, but I think he's going to have to move over or allow these guys through and lift off here, because it's going to be a bit more difficult for him to do the slowdown, as he does do it off the racing line there as well. So great job from Scott as Delmont and Mold battle up now 5th and 6th at the moment.
Yeah, both of them looking once again very well poised in this battle, but not where they'd want to be in terms of track position. 1.7 is the gap, which definitely has closed, but probably looking for just under a second really for any whiff of slipstream, and that's again when you've cast the hook and you latch onto the rear wing, that's really the only way that you can get closer. Bjorklund and Kirsten still battling away for the lead, only a quarter of a second separating them. I think momentarily went side by side. Following along though with Scott Malcolm, he's in 7th place. There are our 2 leaders, by the way, as we go on to what will be 4 to go. Starting from this one, so not long left to go in this race, one bit. Kim-Andrew Bjorklund versus Nick Kirstens. Let's see what the Dutchman can do by the time they reach turn number 1.
Yeah, let's hope he does it a little bit cleaner than the contact with Gibbons, because I'm sure Scotty Gibbons is not going to be... Stuart Gibbons is not going to be overly impressed, I should say, there as well. But as you can see, Hondas have been quick around the outside. I don't know if that's because they're a little bit more planted. But at the moment, Kirstens just can't make that outside line work for him, as we saw Adam Dalmont do. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with these as they're going in to what will be probably 3 at the line.
Yeah, I think so. It's not quite 2 minutes. There is a bit of an overlap there, but yeah, I think we will be far enough into the 6 minutes. Probably looking at 5, yeah, just over 5 minutes, I reckon, worth of lap time, which will give us 3 to go. Which isn't long when you think about it. Not really many overtaking opportunities when the big one is turn 1. The Roger kind of as well, and the Parabolica, of course. There are only a couple of overtaking opportunities per lap. So with only 3 laps left to go, you're probably only looking at 6 more chances.
Yeah, if that really, to be fair, he's just got to try and stay within that slipstream of him as well. We've got Peoples now, he's got Mould, Van Kampen and Dalmont closing in on him. There, with Malcolm dropping off the back there, the AM has just decided enough's enough. But let's see how Peoples and Van Kampen get on here as they're battling away as well.
Peoples obviously 3rd place overall, leading the way in the AM, so somewhat recovering from the poor result in race 1. Obviously with Eilert and Gibbons down, obviously in 6th and 7th in the AMs respectfully. That's obviously not looking too good for them in terms of points, and could allow Peoples to maybe close up, especially as this is the biggest scoring race. It might well actually work out not too bad for him.
Yeah, but he's just got to remember the separate points championship, Peoples. You know what I mean? You don't want to be jeopardizing it just because you want to battle away with the guys up front. You've got to be a little bit mindful of where you are in conjunction with that. Fraser Garrity and Cooper Akers going at it, and we've got Carl Jacklett, Adam McNally and Chris Barnes, as Barnesy, of course, doing a stellar job there, pushing McNally through past Jacklett, using the almost bump draw. Oh, perfect. Hold it. He does hold it there for Carl Jacklett, but boy, oh boy, that could have been a little bit more hairier than it was there as well. But Kirstens now, with Bjorklund and Peoples, has still got Van Kampen and Mould behind him.
So what we got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars all in a train for 3rd place overall. Of course, Scott Malcolm is trying to get past Peoples. That's really the only important one for the AMs. But Van Kampen versus Mould versus Delmont, those are some huge points on offer. And that is, yeah, going to be difficult ground for them. Mould obviously getting past Van Kampen. He's going to be looking to go to the outside of Ascari. Just so you can see the background of shot following on with Kirstens versus Bjorklund with 2 to go at the line. I don't think Mould is able to get away through as of yet, but has to be so careful attacking because he's got Delmont just in behind.
Yeah, and the off-tracks are the ones that's going to cause the problem. You've got to be aware of the off-track situation here as well, because obviously, as we've seen go through Lesmo 1 and 2, they're very tight, and you will end up getting a slowdown if you do make it a little bit wrong through them corners. Van Kampen and Mould, this is obviously a straight pro fight with Peoples in the arms further up the line, but at the moment Mould is looking spicier than a Vindaloo in a curry house at the moment. And
that is spicy. I don't really like spice. I've never really handled it quite well.
I'm not a Vindaloo fan either, to be fair, though, Zach. I think at the end of the day, I'd rather be able to eat my food than sweat.
No, I don't get people that enjoy spice. It's not. I tried to have some buffalo wings from Lidl because they were reduced, and they honestly set my mouth on fire. I couldn't enjoy them whatever. However, what we are enjoying is this battle between Dan Mould and Van Kampen. Mould taking a lesson from Dalmont over the course of race 1, realising the outside of turn 1 is actually a really useful tool, and catapults himself into 3rd place in the pros, 4th place overall. However, Van Kampen going to fight it all the way to the outside of the Roger. That's a really bold and brave move to go for, and he's actually going to hang on to it over the curb. Mould able to stay through. Here comes Dalmont with the up and under on both of them, potentially into the first of the 2 Lesmos. Only gets Van Kampen with only 1.5 laps left to go. Dalmont needs to find a way past Mould.
Yeah, he does, but he's going to be able to get him there as well. Delmont did go through and take that position away from Mould out on the exit of Lesmo 2. Now they're going to be side by side down into Ascari, who's going to be able to get it here as well. But these guys fighting and allowing Peoples to run away with it a little bit at the moment as he's scampering up the road like a scolded cat, is Dan Peoples, to try and avoid everything that's happening behind him. So yeah, great little job from Peoples, but Delmont and Mould kind of more jeopardizing their race and doing themselves any favours, should we say.
Yeah, just the swings around. In the moment, the adrenaline's pumping, and you just try and take everything that you can get. But Van Kampen battling with Delmont, that's going to be music to the ears of Mould. He's going to be hoping that Van Kampen stays ahead and is able to take some points away from Delmont. Inside line through the Parabolica, gets squeezed all the way to the right-hand side. Does Adam Delmont. Van Kampen then able to use that outside momentum to keep his foot in. And now Dan Mould, nearly 3/4 of a second clear of these two going on to the final lap. The fight for the lead fairly settled. Bjorklund 3 seconds clear of Kirstens, who's under pressure actually from Dan Paples. Mould then clear in the fight for third in the pros. Here's Delmont and Van Kampen still battling it out for fourth overall, or fifth overall I should say. Delmont able to just edge himself ahead, but Van Kampen not going down without a good couple of swings.
Yeah, he ain't going down without a fight, is he? Let's be real about it. He's not dropping to the floor harder than Frank Bruno did against Mike Tyson. Van Kampen there does unfortunately lose out. What's going on with the boys up front? Well, it's a swim race, Sweden esports team battle with Kirstens and Peoples, and we've seen how this has turned out already with these two.
Yeah, it's always difficult when things go drastically wrong, and yeah, Samurai Sweden teammates don't particularly like getting too argy-bargy with each other, although a bit of a yin and a yang with the black livery versus the white livery. Both of them look phenomenal, have to say. Fielding, of course, the Swedish flag colours, but as time ticks down, Bjorklund looking secure for a win.
Yeah, absolutely he is. He's flying away at the moment, 3 seconds up the road for Kim Andre Bjorklund, as Kirstens and Peoples are still scrapping it out behind. I don't know if Peoples is just covering off anybody that comes close to them, but Mould is there. He's scampering away from Delmont. He's got Van Kampen behind him. Further down, we've got Kev Aylett. He is trying to get onto the back of Qualver, who's fighting away with Paolo Brem. It's a bit of a long way back, but at the moment, Kim Andre Bjorklund is coming around the final corner.
He is. The Norwegian has battled this race with such maturity, holding off Nick Kirstens for so long, and is now out of the Parabolica, going to take a victory this season. Race number 2 of round number 8 of the JPB TCR European Cup goes the way of Kim Andre Bjorklund. Dan Paples victorious in the AM, second place overall. A drag race with his teammate half a tenth between the pair of them. It's Delmont ahead of Mould in that fight for third place in the pros, and a swing back the way of Delmont in what is already a close, tight championship. Paolo Brem, Dick Crowther 13th overall, and it is going to be Paolo Brem that gets the better. Kev Aylett, though, wow, out there to score some points, but another setback in that AM Championship.
Yeah, trying to complete the 75% rule at the moment for Kev Aylett, just trying to stay in touch. He is actually on the lead lap, so he should be good there, but unfortunately for Kev Aylett, not having a good race too. But still, I'm sure he'll be happy the fact that he's been involved in some great racing. So, yeah, as he comes over the line, we'll bring you up the results, and then we will go and do some interviews and have a chat with some of these drivers, I'm sure, that will make themselves available for this evening. So let's get that up and running, and there are the results for you there, sir.
Thank you very much. Race number 2 goes the way of Andre Bjorklund. Dan Paples then, the AM winner, only half a tenth clear of teammate Nick Kirstens in P3 overall. Adam Delmont rounds off the pro podium, this time ahead of championship rival Dan Mould, who completes the top 5. Stephen Van Kampen in 6th ahead of John Brown, who had a very decent race there in amongst the battle. Scott Malcolm, second place in the AM, so he'll be delighted with that result. Fraser Garrity and Cooper Akers, of course, completing the AM podium. And the top 10, Chris Barnes, Adam McNally, Paolo Brem, Dick Crowther and Kev Aylett at the top 15. Carl Jacklett, basically a race to forget for him after what was such a strong streak of race 2s. Stu Gibbons, Billy Mole, rounding off the 18 car finishing order. We're going to head ourselves over to the interview room and hopefully have ourselves a couple of chats with the drivers who will hopefully be joining us in a couple of moments' time, probably just cooling off from what was a very chaotic race.
Yeah, it was very intense. I think that's the thing. They've got to obviously, take that minute to settle down and chill out. But it was a very intense evening of racing. And I think going forward, you can safely say that they've had a great night of racing there. So let's see how they feel if they come into the interview room. I'll see if I can encourage a couple of them to come and say about their evening. But if not me, we will wrap it up and have a bit of an early night.
Yeah, well, it'd be nice to have a chat with them, but if they don't want to speak to us, they don't want to speak to us. It's not. I mean, we've got Scott Malcolm actually. We'll get Scott Malcolm in, and if over the point of that, Dan Paples, they're flooding in now. Now we've jinxed it. Scott Malcolm, though, of course, second place in the AMS. However, not happy with the end result of tonight.
No. I'm trying to watch how I see it, because I seen something tonight that just is beyond belief.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously steering away from the negatives as such. I mean, is there any particular reason as to why that's been caused? Is it the circuit, the venue? Does it encourage that sort of driving?
I wouldn't like to think so, because I've had absolutely great races on that track in previous years and in previous series with the Kia, other cars like that, and it's all been absolutely brilliant. But that's the way that people want to race on that track, just to get a result. Then, why you go and do it? But you get no favours off of me in any other races.
Well, I suppose, yeah, you do sort of, get what you give as such. But in the end, I mean, P2 in race 2 for the AMS, not necessarily a bad result at the end of things.
No, it's not a bad result, but I reckon I should have had first there, no problem at all. But other factors out with my control, I didn't get that.
Yeah, always the tough dilemma, of course, when it comes to racing. Scott, of course, thank you for coming in, and yeah, not the evening that you necessarily would have wanted, but positive signs going forward in the championship potentially. You're looking forward to the final few rounds?
Yeah, I'm always looking forward to these races. This would usually be a great result for me, but I'm still kind of. If I had a dog, I'd be away kicking it just to. But nah, I know. It's just one of these things that goes on in races. And yeah, what can I say?
It happens, I suppose. Well, Scott, as I say, thank you for joining us. Before we let go, any shout outs you want to give to YouTube chat?
Just organisers and all the drivers, as usual.
Awesome stuff. Thank you very much. Congrats on the result, and well, hopefully better next week.
Yeah, cheers, Zach.
Scott Malcolm then P2 in the end, and not overly happy with how things have happened this evening. What we'll do, we'll take a chat with Mr. Cooper Akers, once again joining us in the commentary booth. Cooper, P3, I believe, in the AM race over the course of race 2. Not necessarily a bad result, but a chaotic evening nonetheless.
Yeah, to be honest, the first race, though, I pulled a bonehead move on Scott, and I tried blocking him a bit too late, and it was under braking, all that stuff. But yeah, it was completely off of me for race 1. And it took multiple people out, but race 2 was chaotic as well. Yeah, it's definitely not one of my better drives, though, regardless.
Well, I think some people are probably going to share your frustration and share your difficulties. Such a simplistic circuit on paper, and yet so difficult to actually nail when it comes to the racing.
It really is. If you get out of the draft at any point in this race, it just feels like your car turns into a brick with an umbrella onto the back of it. You just go away from everyone. It's hard to get time back.
Seemed to be the case, yeah. As soon as you're out of it, it is just a case of that you are out of it. In a week's time, though, of course, we'll head to France. We'll head to Magny Cours. Are you excited about that? Maybe some positive optimism for you to be looking forward to instead of a bit of a woeful round here at Monza?
I have no real opinion on Magny Cours. It's not one I usually like to drive.
Oh, well, simple as that, I suppose. I mean, yeah, not one I've never driven, but obviously best of luck for you, Cooper. Thank you for joining us. And before we let you go, any shout-outs you want to give to YouTube chat?
No thanks.
Awesome stuff, Cooper Akers. Again, another driver showing some frustration with the difficulties of this evening. Next up, let's take a chat, actually, because the rest of them are all sort of good results. We'll take a chat with Adam Delmont, seeing as he's the only one of the three that hasn't won a race this evening. But Adam, welcome in. Of course, a tough race in the end. Second place to Dan Mould in race 1. Then you managed to get him back in race 2.
Hello, good evening, Zach. Yeah, it were a hard one tonight. Obviously, being draft track, just makes it a lot harder. Race 1, I got a slowdown, literally, I think a lap and a half before the end, and I was feeling comfortable enough to go for a move for the win. Whether or not I'd have done it, who knows? But I ruined it for myself with a small slowdown. I cut the chicane just a little bit too much, and I had to take off a slowdown before the right-hander, and it just put too much of a gap for the Honda to close, even under draft. So yeah, it was still P2, and I managed, I think, the fastest lap of the race on the final lap to claw a point back, and race 2 we just work with Dan and see where we ended up, to be fair.
In the end, wasn't actually too bad of a result after everything settled down as such. But you must be loving that battle in the championship. I mean, coming in today, 2 points apart. You finished 1 and 2 in race 1. You then finished effectively 3 and 4 for race 2. And of course, with extra little, finicky points here and there, fast lap points, this, that, and the other. It's going to be very, very close going into those final few rounds. I mean, are you optimistic? Magny Cours, Jerez, Zolder? Do you back yourself?
You can never back yourself against a driver like Dan, to be fair. I mean, you can go in with confidence, don't get me wrong. You can go in and think, I can win it. I do think I can win it, but it's not a given. The battles me and Dan have been having have been absolutely immense. Really enjoying them. It is literally tooth and nail. So very respectful as well. We're side by side. We're here, there, and everywhere, and there's no crashes, no dramas. So yeah, it's been really enjoyable, mate. A really, really hard, close fight, and I think even if you don't win it and you finish second, I think it's been that close of a fight. You could kind of be happy with a P2 as well as a P1 in a sense, because the racing itself has been mega. So, just for that alone, it's been fantastic. If you get P1 on top, then it's an added bonus. But, it'll be what it'll be, mate. We're both very close. And I don't think anybody could actually predict which way it's going to go unless something drastic happens. I don't think.
It's going to be a fight all the way to the end, and I absolutely cannot wait to see how you two get on. Of course, it's been a fantastic season so far. It'd be a shame to see it obviously go after the 11 rounds, but well done to you, of course, for your results today. Best of luck for the rest of the championship. Before we let you go, though, any shout-outs you want to give to the YouTube chat?
Yeah, you guys as always, for the broadcast and running everything in the background, the drivers, SRL and Next Gen and all their associated sponsors. And that's about it, mate.
Awesome stuff. Take care. We'll see you back in a week's time.
Take care, buddy.
Cheers. Adam Delmont then, championship contender, and fighting with Dan Mould all the way to the end. Next up, race 2 winner of Dan Paples. Of course, the driver that didn't have the best of race 1. It's a great qualifying. Sort of dropped it in race 1. Fought back, though, valiantly in race 2 for a second place overall and a victory in the AMS.
Yeah, I would say race 1 was a bit unlucky. I think something happened behind. Someone got touched and then spun into me, so I couldn't really do much there. But yeah, these are things that happen when you race. But I came back, like you said, really well in race 2. And yeah, a good result. This was a massive result for me in the AMS because I've been dropping back lately.
You have. Obviously, you didn't attend 2 weeks ago. You didn't have the best of rounds last time out at Aragon. Yeah, it's been a tough one. Coming in today, I believe you were 13 off the lead in the championship.
Yep.
Obviously, that drop of race 1 didn't help, but race 2, where more points are scored, you made it count. Do you still back yourself for the championship?
Oh, for sure. I think also drop scores need to be still applied. Of course, my drop score is 0. I don't know what that is for the others. But if I can iron out these stupid mistakes that I've been making, Zach, then yes, I do. Because honestly, it's my own mistakes most of the time that hold me back. Especially a week ago, I had, P1 in qualifying, P1 in race 1, and then I jumpstart race 2. Like, these are things that shouldn't happen. So yeah, if I can iron out these things, yeah, for sure.
Well, best of luck to you, obviously, on those endeavours. It's been a tough fight and really spiced itself up in the AMs once you started bottling it for a couple of weeks in a row. Let everyone catch up a bit, and now it's actually really interesting, that fight in the AM Championship. So, final 3 rounds should be a lot of fun. Dan, thank you for joining us in the commentary booth. Before we let you go, any shout-outs you want to give to YouTube chat?
Yeah, to you guys for a great broadcast again.
Thank you very much, Dan. Best of luck for the rest of the championship. We'll see you back in a week's time.
Thank you.
Dan Paples then fighting in the AM Championship and looking very, very strong indeed. I've just let go of his name and there we go. Nearly dragged out you instead of Dan, because it's always awkward when people decide to leave when I've tried to drag them out the interview. Anyway, we'll move on to the final interview of this evening. The man himself, Kimanje Bjorklund, winner of race 2. What a drive.
Got a bit lucky with the starting position, I guess.
Hey, you drove the car. You won the race. That's all that matters, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Looking very, very strong. Of course, a fantastic evening for you. A tough one out there, though, for pretty much everyone. I mean, very chaotic. How did you find it out there?
I got a little bit angry at race 1 because it ended so fast in the chicane, but I got to walk it off when the car was towing, so back on the track and doing my best.
Yeah, you definitely did do your best. Of course, you've held firm in that fight for 5th in the Pro Championship. Of course, only 3 rounds left to go of this Touring Car Championship. You've got Magny, Cours, Jerez, and Zolder. How do you back yourself for the last few rounds of the championship?
Not sure.
Easy as that, I suppose. You're not putting that much running in?
Oh, to this race, I just did the practice yesterday and a little bit warm up before the session started today. So because it wasn't the hardest track either, so didn't need that much practice at this track.
Yeah, fairly simplistic one, really, on paper. But all in all, a fantastic evening for you. Very well done. Of course, best luck for the rest of the season. Before we let you go, is there any shout-outs you want to give to YouTube chat?
Yes, of course, my teammates and you guys. And everyone on the track who are having fun with.
Amazing stuff. Well, as I say, once again, another best of luck to you. Best of luck for the rest of the season. And I'm sure we'll see you back in a week's time.
Yeah.
Very much. Kimanje Bjorklund, then race 2 winner of the pros. And James, mixed feelings from the interview rooms. Yeah, both of them doing a really good job. And in fact, actually, Delmont only lost 1 point this evening going into the final few rounds, which definitely should open the door for some very fun action in both the pros and in the AMs. Ladies and gentlemen, we can delay it as long as we want, but eventually we're going to have to round up this evening of racing. 2 fantastic races here at Monza. The Temple of Speed definitely did not disappoint as we continue ourselves to the final 3 rounds of this championship. We head to Magny Court in a week's time, the 1st of March, with myself, Zach Sweeney, James Parfitt alongside me in the commentary booth. But for now, guys, take care and a very warm goodbye.